Welcome to the Extreme Underground, the show where I take a look at some of the most disturbing and controversial films in the world of cinema. Today I'll be reviewing American Guinea Pig, Bloodshock. Written by Stephen Biro and directed by Marcus Cook, Unearthed Films and Autopsy Films brings us American Guinea Pig Bloodshock. Bloodshock is the second entry in the American Guinea Pig series, which of course was spawned from the Japanese series Guinea Pig, which had its controversial run through the 80s and 90s, which were extreme snuff-style films that many believe to be real. Bloodshock is a film about an unnamed man who's beaten and thrown into an asylum, where he's periodically tortured by a deranged doctor who's collecting his blood, which appears to be used for some sort of drug. The first thing that's immediately noticeable is the soundtrack. Bloodshock has a fantastic score to the entire film that just makes you feel uneasy throughout its entirety. There's dark, brooding tones, there's odd screeches, there's all these unnatural sound effects that just make you feel disgusting even without seeing what's on screen. There were points throughout this film where my heart was legitimately racing. I could feel it in my chest, and I can attribute that to the score and the way that it vibrates and it makes you anxious, and I think it really helped sell the whole atmosphere of this asylum. Throughout the course of the movie, we have our main character played by Dan Ellis, who did a fantastic job selling his emotions and really giving it all when it came to his torture scenes, and the way that he handled himself appeared like he was legitimately going crazy in this asylum, and you could sense the loneliness in him. Unlike the first film in the American Guinea Pig series, this film actually did have a story arc. It's kind of like a twisted love story, as this lonely man is stuck in a room and he's receiving notes through the padding of his cell. And you can see this man developing a relationship with the person on the other side of the wall. And this kind of drives his motivation to try and escape and withstand the torture that he's going through so that he can be with the person in the next room over. And while the majority of the film is black and white, the very climax is full of color. It's a very surreal scene, and it makes you really uneasy. It lasts almost too long, but that's its purpose. And I really thought it was well executed. And of course, it's really important to talk about the gore in this movie. Marcus Cook, the director of this film, is also known for his stellar work when it comes to special effects. He works alongside his team at Autopsy Films, and they've delivered some of the best on-screen practical gore that I've seen in years. When it came to the Guinea Pig series, the team didn't let us down. We have extremely realistic incisions and the sewing of flesh, and there's some really cringeworthy scenes of bones being cut with a saw that's very reminiscent of Audition. While the production value in this film was fairly decent, I did have an issue with the audio. It wasn't that great. It didn't have that weight to it, and I'm not talking about the score, I'm talking about the dialogue. When the doctor's talking and he's making these threats to the patient, it just doesn't seem authentic.
Open your mouth. Open your mouth.
I enjoyed the performances from Dan Ellis and Lillian McKinney. I did find that the doctor and the orderly just didn't deliver when they needed to. The orderly came off as almost comically bad, and that's not a great thing in this style of movie.
For the rest of your life, all you'll know is the taste of iron.
Some tighter editing around some of these weaker performances could have really helped hide some of the flaws in the dialogue. Now, this was not a dislike of mine, but it's worth noting for fans of extreme cinema, and especially fans of the Guinea Pig series from Japan. This film doesn't have as much different styles of torture than you may like to see. They kind of redo similar situations a couple times, so it becomes a little repetitive once you've gotten 3/4 of the way through the movie. Now, I know this was an artistic choice, but the black and white filter throughout the movie I don't think really helped sell the special effects. When I watch one of these movies, I like to see the blood, I like to see the gore. And when you do that as like an artistic styling, you're taking something away from the film that a lot of people expect. And that's not to say that they shouldn't try something new, and it definitely amplified the climax of the film. I just think that people are going to be thrown off a little bit because you want to see that blood, and especially knowing Marcus's team, We know that they can make great looking special effects, and their blood is always top notch, so it would have been nice to really be able to see that in full color, but I completely understand the artistic reasoning behind it. All in all, I felt that Bloodshock was a very solid entry into the series. It shows that there can be more depth to the story while still staying super gritty and grungy. And while doing so, they did a great job portraying the atmosphere from both the set design and the score standpoint. I liked the feeling of anxiousness while I watched this as I awaited what the next thing that this poor man's going to experience. Unfortunately, when it came to the acting, we had some good and we had some bad. And when it comes to these style of films, you want to feel that there's this looming danger. And if there's an underperforming actor, then it really kind of separates you from the world that you're trying to be engrossed in. So I'm gonna give this 3.5 delicious paper sandwiches out of 5. As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on Bloodshock in the comments. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything Bloodbath and beyond.